two, one. Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, hello, hello. Here we are again. We're on Blog Talk Radio, and this is the K Factor, where K equals kindness, and the factors are all the things that lead to it. And I am here today doing a really big act of kindness for everybody in our audience because I'm introducing Stephen Samblis as my guest, who I got to tell you what, I think that this is a major coup that I've accomplished here today to cross paths with this gentleman. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
I'm good. And it's really great to be here, by the way.
It is great. So we've had a fun little chat before we got started. And
Yeah.
and here's the other thing. So this is not just the K Factor. This is also the Partners in Excellence Media, because I decided during December that I am the media. And
Yeah.
my co-hosts are the media, because what do? We bring you the real news, about you, your well-being, what's going on, how do you feel, what's with your business, your life, your health. And we're the influencers. And so who better to invite onto this platform than an influencer who is you're a media mogul and a visionary all on your own over there, Mr. Samblis.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind of funny. It's you become these things, and don't give yourself titles, but you become these things when you have a sense of service and gratitude in your heart in what you're doing. That's how I got to where I am right now. This whole thing, people that are listening don't know this, but I created a book series called One Habit.
Yeah.
And it started last June, June before last, with one book, which I thought was going to be the only book, where I asked 100 very successful people, if you could instantly instill in a child one habit, what would it be and why? And the book just took off. We had 100 people in the book. It's so funny because I'd never published before. I never wrote anything before. Didn't know how to get the book published.
Really?
And so at the age of 58, my life completely changed.
Yeah.
I suddenly became a writer, a publisher,
Yeah.
International distributor. And it's been, like I said, it's been all based on coming from a place of service and gratitude. And what has become of this is just, we've had 9 best-selling books in the last 18, 19 months.
That's
crazy.
Unprecedented. I mean, I don't know that even Jack Canfield did that with his chicken soup.
When they came out with Chicken Soup for the Soul, I was really good friends with Mark Victor Hansen, by the way, at the time when Chicken Soup was first happening.
Right.
And Mark and I had the first conversations before it was even a book, before they even had a chapter in there about what the idea was.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to him, because there's a guy named Bernie Dorman. He's passed away recently, but Bernie started a company called CEO Space.
Oh, yeah.
Back in October.
Oh, wait
yeah.
a second. He passed away recently?
Yeah, several months ago. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it might have been a year ago even, because of this our mental idea of what time is just so compressed now.
Warped.
Yeah, but in October of '91, Bernie did this thing at the Ritz-Carlton in Mealy Island, Florida, called the Millionaire Forum, where people paid $7,500 for a weekend with Mark Victor Hansen, Val Vanderwall, Bob Proctor, all these other amazing motivators. Now, Bernie he didn't have an hour-long speech. He literally had a 10-minute piece he did that was so impactful. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end, but it was so impactful that you go, wow, and you wanted more. Whereas when some speakers up on the platform, you're like, wow, got all I need.
Yeah, right.
And I talked to Mark about that. I said, Mark, I just think that, your audio programs are great. They're 8 hours. And sometimes I'm 2 hours in before I get to the point. It's all nice stories and stuff. And by the way, Mark is one of the greatest speakers ever. His control of the English language is just amazing.
Yes.
And so we talked about that. And I think that was a lot of the reason why him and Jack got together and decided to do Chicken Soup, because it was light bites of compelling knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what Bernie did.
Yeah.
And that's very much what we're doing today in a way too. We're literally, the idea is just one habit can change your life forever, right?
Oh,
and each of our contributors, there's 100 in this book we're doing right now. You're in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Gives one habit, and this book is about, it's one habit to thrive in a post-COVID world. because the world's gonna be a different place.
Yes.
When we get, and so each of you are giving us one singular habit, one singular powerful habit of what we can do, a habit we can instill in ourselves, what we can do to make ourselves thrive in this world. And here's the reason why it works. So that's the idea of each chapter. There's a habit, a reason why, an unhabit, something to get rid of, and a why that unhabit's important to get rid of.
Right. You know, the thing that is so beautiful about it, and we had talked about this on the phone the other day. You had reached out to me, and I was thinking, what? Because I didn't recognize your name. Then I thought maybe I should stop saying what and start saying yes. I mean, it is my favorite word in the entire English language. Yes. So I looked you up, and I mean, we've got all these people in common.
Yeah, we have like 80 mutual friends that are actually real people.
Yeah, they're real people, and they're pretty spectacular influencers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so I started looking at that, and then I started looking at this one habit, and I thought, why would a doctor of psychology with a huge specialization in attitude formation and change and the acquisition and the cementing of habit not glom onto this? And so as soon as I had that recognition, boom, you had me. I was saying, wait a second, wait, don't close the door. I want in on this. And it's wonderful because you made it so straightforward. I can't wait to get my hands on the book.
The book's going to be amazing. It's going to be about 700 pages.
Oh my God.
It's going to be huge. It's 6 by 9 in size. And let me tell you what's really cool about this.
Yeah.
Because we have 100 contributors.
Yeah.
Everyone's like you. They love this idea. They love this book we're doing, right?
Love it.
And so what we do is, and by the way, the participation fee was almost free. It's so cheap to get these books. You know, most books to be in a book is like $4,500 to $6,000.
Yeah.
We were just a couple $100.
Yeah.
Because I want us to make money together.
Yes.
I want us to sell a bunch of books, right? And we have a vested interest in doing that. So we're going to do on January 22nd an 8-hour Facebook Live, and you guys are each book a time. And Whitney Wiley, who does all my Facebook Lives on launch days, and we're going to have an international One Habit to Thrive in a Post-COVID World Day, where you're going to come on, and we're not going to talk about your habit. We're going to talk about you.
Okay.
And we're going to make the audience love you. Because by the way, I had this epiphany.
Yeah.
I did the first book and the second book and the third one, and I always thought that my customer was the person buying the books.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden something hit me, and I realized to myself, I said, you know what? The person I serve is these authors.
Yeah.
If I can give the authors every single tool physically possible to tell their story, to get people to love them, give them the biggest soapbox possible to put them on top of and just tell their story to the world, people are going to love them.
Yes.
Then they're going to buy the book, by the way.
Right.
But they're also going to be so vested in the author. See, I was thinking about this other thing before we came. I got so much to say to you, so I was so excited about our conversation.
Well, we've got 7 hours for the show. Is that enough?
No, it's not actually. It gets about half the contributors, and then over the next 30 days, we do about another 5 a day till everybody's had an interview.
Oh gosh.
We then take your individual interviews and we put an intro and an exit on it, and we give you that video, so you have another tool to promote yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And by the way, when we're doing the interviews, once again, we're not talking about the book.
Yeah.
We mention it, we hold the book up,
Right.
because you'll have a book in your hand. Everybody's going to buy their own book, so they have a book in their hand.
Absolutely.
But we talk about you because I want to make you even more successful than you currently are by putting you in front of people that might not have heard of you, that might not have known who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now they will. So I was thinking about something on this when I did this interview today with you before we came to do this, and I've interviewed 1,400 actors on camera. I was one of 20 people that for the last 12 years, the studios would fly to LA when I wasn't living here, before I lived in LA, and have a sit down face to face with Pacino, with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, with Vin Diesel, with Ben Affleck, Bryan Cranston, and I talked to them about their movies that were coming out.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Johnson was somebody that I really found interesting because when I interviewed him, now first of all, he was about to spend 8 hours doing hundreds of interviews in one day in this one room where he was sitting in.
Oh my gosh.
And when I walked in, I felt like I was the only person he was talking to.
Oh golly.
And people just love him. You listen to one of his interviews with no matter who it was. There's only 20 of us, but internationally, there's like 60 interviewers that do international interviews as well. So it's like 80.
Yeah.
But when you watch one of Dwayne's interviews, you just love him.
Really?
And so you go to his movie, right?
Oh,
Because you love him, right?
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing with you guys. I want people to say, God, Dr. Deb is the coolest chick in the world. I want more of her. I want to read what she has to say. I want to watch her videos. I want to listen to her radio shows. And that was part of that big pivot, that epiphany that made me realize that if I can give you everything, we'll be able to serve more people and we'll all make money together.
You know what? I love that. And when someone operates out of that space, it can't help but be phenomenal because it comes from such a good, clean space in your mind, in your heart, and in your spirit. So, I'll tell you something, as much as I love that, I have to tell you, that's been my idea here for this platform here too, is I've invited people in to be my co-hosts to do a weekly show with me because I'm thinking, I love you. I love your voice. I love your message. I want to grow this platform so it's so huge that people who don't know you want to, and so they listen, they want your books, they want the webinars, they want your presence, they want you to come to panels and virtual events. And when we come back into real 3D life, they actually want you there, come off the screen and come out here. So, I love that. And again, I want this to be profitable for them. Because, we're all in here because we love it, but we're all in here because we're in business. We just happen to really be smart enough to know that if we're not madly in love with our business,
we shouldn't be in it.
Yeah. What's the point?
It's interesting you say that. When I first did the first book, my mental visual perspective of life has changed so much from the first one to the 8th book.
Yeah.
In the 20 months it's been. And one of the things was, God, at the first book, I just didn't even charge people to be in the book. I took all the money out of my own pocket. And I was like, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, I'm doing something good enough where they should cover their costs so we can build this book together.
Right.
But then I would come across people that are in the book going like, well, I don't really like selling myself. Because part of what I do, Deb, is I actually just go out and find brilliant minds that have maybe never been heard of before. Yeah. And it's the saddest thing to me because there's so many brilliant people out there, but they're like, well, I don't want to sell myself. When I was a stockbroker, when I was 22 years old, I got my stockbroker's license and I got a job. I'm working at Dean Witter and I go in my office, I sit down and I just sit back and just wait. My boss goes, what are you doing? I go, waiting for this phone to ring. He goes, the phone's not going to ring. No matter how good you are at picking stocks, Steve, which he knew I was, unless you sell yourself and build a client base, you will not serve anybody. And so there's so many people out there that are like, well, I'm the best coach ever, but I don't really like selling myself. I'm like, so you'll never help anybody. That's the problem. You'll never help anybody because you're not willing to go out and sell yourself. So that was part of the paradigm shift too. I realized that I have to help you guys in not everybody, how to sell yourself, but a lot of people don't. And so I got to push them. Yes. And at first I was frustrated, but then I got a point where I'm not frustrated at all. When I was like, I see somebody that, as an example, we do a book and they post a picture of the book on Facebook and they're holding it with no information on it whatsoever. He says, I got my book today. And I write to him, I say, well, what was the purpose of posting the picture of the book? So people will buy the book. How will they find the book? I don't know. Okay. And so I'd give them a little 6, maybe four sentences and a link.
Yeah.
I said, give them a link. Right. There's nothing more frustrating than on the internet when I would go to these amazing furniture sites which show the coolest couch ever. I want that couch, but then they make you yes. Yeah, they don't. Yes, and they don't let you know how to find this stuff.
I know.
I stopped going to that site because I was so frustrated. I'm like going, oh my God, this is great. And now you're going to make me work to try to find a lamp that I want? No, you're not doing it. It's like torturing me. And we do the same thing to our customers, to our clients, the people that are following us. We're like, get my book. And they're like, how?
Exactly.
Search for it. Good luck,
Yeah, right. What do I look at? I don't know. habit, just type in habit. That, you know what? It's so funny because I've never thought of myself as a salesperson. In all my life, people have said you could sell ice cream or snowballs or something to Eskimos.
Mostly
Whatever
ice
it
to
is.
Eskimos, refrigerators to Eskimos. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. And you know, I thought to myself, well, that's not a very nice thing to say. It makes me sound pushy. And I said, why do you say that? And then I found out that if you are passionate about something, you're really genuinely interested. I can't sell anything that I don't believe in,
Right.
but get out of my way. Because if I believe in something, then we need to make sure that it's in everybody's hands. You can't help but exude that. And that which you exude is contagious because you have an energy that people are saying. It kind of reminds me of that episode on I Love Lucy. Remember where she was selling Vita Vita Vitamin?
Yeah. She was so funny, by the way. Yes. Yes.
She was, you know, and everybody wanted it. Well, it's so easy. Now she got drunk on it, you know, but it is. And what you're doing, like, I love what your background is. You've got, it looks like New York behind you with the Gap, and it looks like you've got the shopping district there,
There's
right?
Big COVID bug over there.
Exactly.
And it's taken over Times Square. That's what it is.
You know what I was going to say? It looks like Times Square. I love New York. I miss New York. And you've got that COVID over one shoulder, and you've got the Stephen Samblis, Forbes Riley. Love Forbes Riley. She's just cutie pie.
Best business partner I've ever had.
Really, I believe that.
Yeah,
One habit to pivot your life in a post-COVID world. You know,
Oh, and by the way, I got to share some with you, by the way.
yes,
So
yes.
one of the mistakes people make all the time,
Yeah.
writers make this all the time. They'll be 3 chapters into a book and realize they're not going the right direction, but they're so vested in those 3 chapters, they try to make it work and turn out something that's not good.
Oh.
So what the cover you see right there, we changed the title on it. It's now One Habit to Thrive in a Post-COVID World, because pivot is too much work. We wanted to make it positive, and so to thrive in a post-COVID world is actually a better statement of what it is. And so what you see on that book cover right now has just been changed, because I'm never afraid, no matter how deep or how vested I am into a project, to say, wait a minute, okay, we're going the wrong direction. I don't care if I have to back up all the way to the start line and throw away all the stuff I spend money on. I'm willing at any time to start over. And people, Blockbuster Video is a great example of that. They actually started a platform to rent videos, but they were so vested in bricks and mortar that they weren't willing to put any effort into what Netflix ended up being, right?
Oh my gosh.
Same. I mean, literally, they had all the relationships with all the studios. They could have destroyed Netflix or any of the other platforms that exist now. They would have been the biggest, but they were so just vested in the bricks and mortar. So as a benefit to the listeners, if you're deep into something and you've got this thing in your head and you're saying, you know what, I'm going the wrong direction. I know I'm going the wrong direction, but I've spent so much time getting here. Just because you, okay, so you're on a journey and you're leaving LA and you're trying to get to Chicago, but you find yourself in Louisiana and you're going to go, you know, I'm just going to keep going south, even though north and east is where I need to go, because I've went so far already. You're never going to get to where you want to get to. And you have to have the guts to say, okay, you know what? Not just guts. You have to be present enough to pay attention to where you are. Yeah. And if you're 3 chapters deep, or if you're hundreds of hours into something, you haven't been paying attention. Or maybe you suddenly got that hunch and you listen to it. And you're like, oh God, you're right. Because we get hunches and we get glimpses all the time from this divine energy up there that just kind of throws us the best information ever, right? Absolutely. And if we just listen to it, just be brave enough to listen to your hunches. Yeah. Because most of the time they're going to guide you the right direction.
You know, I just had this conversation with somebody over the last couple of days, and they were lamenting to me saying, I don't understand. You talk about having unshakable faith. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't know what I'm talking about? God never answers my prayers. And I said, are you sure? Yes. Because I told him, I've said, I need this and this and this and this. And I said, oh, so you think you're God's manager? You're not. How about you want to know I have unshakable faith? Because I say, thank you. The world is still out today. I wake up, I open my eyes, I see over this beautiful Lake Michigan, and I say, especially in 2020, thank you. The world is still in existence. Oh, I can see, I can hear, I can smell things. My body is here. Thank you. This is such a great reality. So by the way, sir, in your divine time, in good divine order, whatever it is that I might be able to do to be a benefit, perhaps you could put me in the light of awareness, and then I'll know where to go. And so our dreams are our prayers being answered. But even when we're saying I'm suffering here, sometimes living in the contrast of where you want to be, that is a prayer answered, because you're seeing what cockapoo you don't want.
Mhm.
And you would never know unless you landed there, right?
You know what the other thing too is, you have to, like, I have two amazing daughters, and if one of them came to me and they say, you know, Dad, I know you're probably not going to do this for me, but because I know you don't ever do anything I ask of you, but would you possibly help me figure out how to do this mortgage on my house? And I'd be like, no, because obviously I don't do anything for you. So you got to treat God the same way. You got to go like, you don't go, you know, God, I know you don't really care about me and never do anything I say, but I kind of need this. You say, listen, I appreciate all the stuff you've done. Would you help me with this too?
Yes.
And by the way, the answers always come.
Yes.
I have never, ever had a problem. And by the way, here's what a problem is.
Okay.
If I'm looking at, if I'm blindfolded
Yeah.
and I'm touching the tail of an elephant,
Yes.
and I'm trying to figure out what this thing is, I just only touch the tail,
Yeah.
it remains a problem and a mystery. But if I start going around it and putting my hands on it, and, oh, there's a trunk, there's tusks and everything,
Yeah.
I realize it's an elephant. Okay. So if we look at our challenges or problems, we can call it problems, I'm not afraid of the word,
Yeah.
and we look at it from every angle possible, before you know it, there's a realization of what it is, and it works out. But whenever I needed a title to a book,
Yeah.
or I needed, I don't know, just some inspiration on something that I'm puzzled about, I didn't know how to attack it.
Yeah.
I just say, you know, I need help with this, and I let it go.
Yeah.
And I don't say it, I need it by 5 o'clock Tuesday.
Right.
Because that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Your answers will come to you
Right.
when you need them.
Yes.
And if you don't need it for 2 weeks, you won't probably get it for 2 weeks.
It's
But the moment that you need them, yeah. And it's also like when we write. I did a thing on Clubhouse yesterday. I just brand new to it. And I did this thing on, in the writers room with Whitney Wiley, who's also a great writer. She's done 2 of my books with me and a couple other people. And we just talked about being a writer and our processes.
Oh,
And
I love that.
yeah. And what's really cool about this is that when I write,
Yeah.
I don't say I'm going to start at 9 o'clock. Now I know people are going to hate this because it's weirdly, it seems lazy. Okay. But I'll wake up and I'm thinking in my head, and it's just kind of spinning in there, the thing I want to write about. Okay.
Right.
And it could be at 9:47. It could be at 12:30 in the afternoon. It could be at 1, but suddenly it'll be there.
Yes.
And I'll just start typing.
Right.
And for my process, I don't write by hand, and I can't say it into a tape player. I have to write.
Keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
And all of a sudden and it never takes me hours, within 47, 50 minutes, I'll look back and I go, wow, where did that come from?
There you go.
But we all have access to that same,
Yeah.
I mean, Napoleon Hill believed that. In Think and Grow Rich, he talks about that, you know, being able to tap into that thing,
That's
you
right.
know, just say with positivity that I have this, and your mind will just, subconscious and everything else will just give it to you, you know. And you know when that's hardest to do, by the way, it's hardest to do when things are kind of tough.
Oh yeah.
Because when you're not, let's say you're somebody that had a job.
Yeah.
And now your job in your restaurant is closed because of the stuff that's outside of your influence. You know, you're not able to force your restaurant back open. Okay.
Yeah.
And now's the hardest time. It's easy when things are going great, Steve. Yeah, things are going great for you right now. So it's easy to be positive and just know. And so that's why you have to train yourself with habits, that you habitually do certain things.
Yes.
Because when you have habits inside of you, they work all the time. They're not susceptible to environment. They're not susceptible to your moods.
Right.
They're just something you do.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And so we are in a unique position now where we can instill in ourselves. My last book was 820 pages. It's the largest book in entrepreneurship ever published, One Habit for Entrepreneurial Success. I did it with Forbes Riley. And it's literally the biggest book ever published on entrepreneurial success.
I love that.
But the idea of you look at this giant book, but you only need one habit in there. So you flip through it and you'll land on something.
Yeah.
And you'll look at it and go, wow, that is a habit that if I instilled that in my life would be better.
Yeah.
So you take like 30 days, you put that in you, and
Mhm.
suddenly it's something you do every day.
Yep.
Then you flip through the book again, and you will, through serendipity or whatever there is, you will land on another habit. And most of the time it's something
It'll
that will
speak.
work.
Yeah,
And you,
absolutely. Vishan Lakhiani from Mind Valley
Mhm.
talks about that. Just pick a book up and let it, it's interesting. It's kind of
let it talk to you. Let it talk to you.
They do.
Mhm.
It's interesting because when people tell me I have writer's block, okay, tell me your process. They always, and I'm going to ask everyone who hates you from what you said, not to hate you, but to love and admire you, because that was a brilliant piece of advice. Because when people come to me and they say, but I have writer's block, I say, what are you doing? I go in this room, I lock myself in, I tell myself, you're going to stay here until this happens. I say,
That's horrible.
do you bring a whip and a chain in there?
Exactly.
Because that's very cruel. If you want to write, it has to come through you. And why would anything want to come through you? You is scared to death of you that you're going to punish you for making a wrong word. So you can't do it. My last book that I wrote, Build the Strength Within, my mother had died. My second parent dies. And I'm thinking, oh, for crying out loud. Now, I don't like this at all. So it took me, I started swimming again because it was the only way that I could be crying and no one would know. No one could tell that you're crying the whole time when you're in the water. So swim I did, but you can't wear goggles because they get filled up and then you get
Yeah. They're also, you're in the water when you're out of the water. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just swam and swam and swam. And then this book really came to me. And I actually was doing a radio program and I was talking about it. My engineer said, I don't usually listen to who's on the radio, but I'm listening to you and we got to do something with this. So what I would do is I would come in whenever it came through me.
There you go.
Yes. I could get up.
You know what's interesting about that too, Deb, is the fact that your deadlines, which are these true hard deadlines, you will always reach them.
Yes.
You always will. And this is the other thing that people are so afraid of. Letting go is terrifying to people. They have to be in control. They have to have their arms around this world and they have to hold it really, really tight so it can't get away.
That kills
And
you.
and then they have to put barriers around themselves to protect themselves from everything else and just focus and look at it, the keys on your typewriter and put yourself in this horrific situation. This is so hard. And it's hard, like I said, during these times where you don't get to see people, we're not going out, we can't go to restaurants right now. It's harder now than ever to say, oh, Steve, it's easy for you to say because you have things that are happening. But we have something we've never had before. We have the luxury of time.
I knew you were going to say that.
We do, right? We have the luxury of time. We have the opportunity to learn.
Yep.
We have the opportunity to explore ourselves, to actually get in shape by working out in the morning, which I never do. I need to do that. But to learn to cook.
We have the opportunity.
Yeah, we have more. We're not driving an hour to an hour from work every day. We're not going to a cubicle farm with fluorescent lights with people coughing on you all day. We're not having to worry about getting overly dressed up and bringing money for lunch and not being able to sit down in a comfortable environment and have to order something at a fast food place or spend a lot of money at a restaurant. We don't have to put the kids in daycare. There's just so much we don't have to do. That luxury of time is something that we have all frittered away over the last year. Because many people, you know what they did? They slept all day.
Yeah.
They would get out of bed and they were either wearing their pajamas or whatever, and they maybe took a shower and put on a new pair of pajamas and just stayed home in those new pair of pajamas. I mean, great, be comfortable, right? But there's in this world of this post-COVID world, which is coming, one of my habit, and I'm gonna give this to you guys, is real simple, is to force yourself back into a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell you what happened to me, Deb. I was about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
I was working and I didn't know what time of day it was. And I started thinking to myself, what is today? I didn't know what day it was. And it's, I'm not saying because I was lazy or I was watching TV. I literally all those in the world when we have to wake up and go somewhere,
Right.
there's all these touch points which create time for us, right?
Right.
You know, and suddenly we don't have that.
Right.
And so I'm going like, shit, so here's what I'm saying to you. I'm saying, know what day it is when you wake up. Maybe start waking up at a certain time. Create a morning ritual like you used to when you went to work. Get dressed up, shower, wash your hair, put your makeup on. You don't have to get all dressed up clothing wise, but feel dressed for success for your day.
Exactly. Feel
You know?
proud.
Exactly.
Feel
And
proud. Yes.
and start celebrating. Remember when we used to celebrate Friday?
Yep.
Like, oh, it's Friday, and then we have the weekend off, and entrepreneurs don't really have the weekend off, but we still pretend we do.
Right.
And
Right, exactly.
and then Wednesday is hump day, but so I'm going to work harder today. But we haven't done any of that. So if you will allow yourself to get back on a schedule, know what day it is, start working at a certain time of day. That's great.
Yeah.
You can finish when you want,
Right. Right.
but start putting some rituals back into your daily life.
Yeah.
Because those things made you successful over time.
Yeah.
You know, and so we just let go of all that. And I felt like I was in this deep hole. It was a successful hole. I've done a bunch of books and stuff. I'm surrounded by all my books, but I'm in this hole. And I'm going like, my God, I have allowed myself to become a bridge troll. I'm just underneath this thing and I'm not coming out, you know, and I didn't know what day it was. You know, we have to get back. We have to come back.
A wonderful little story for you. So here I am. I'm in Chicago. I've got this beautiful place on the lakefront. I'm roaming around in here. And by the way, I moved in here and it was within days. Boom, the lockdown. So it was me and 200 boxes all by myself.
Oh.
So I'm thinking,
Oh my God.
no, this is terrible. So I get everything unpacked and, you know, I'm going through and I'm trying to figure out everything out. Well, it was lovely because I'm on the water. I can take a walk to the beach. I can go out onto the grass. I have all these options, right? So I exercised them, but in the middle of the trauma, and it is traumatic and dramatic, I started walking around here and I was doing the same thing. Like, what day is it? I should really know what I'm doing. Now I still had business. I had people to take care of and projects that I was working on. And I traveled between Chicago and St. Louis, but here's what I did. I decided, you know what? I need to get back on this platform of Blog Talk Radio. And then, so I did a couple episodes and I thought, well, it's kind of lonely in here. You know, it's just me talking. And then I thought, well, invite my friends and all my beloveds in here. So I was doing the shows. Then I said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Somebody started it by saying to me, would you do Dr. Deb Carlin Soulful Sunday? Because, you know, you have that thing that you do. And I thought, you know, I don't know. I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to be a preacher. So I went ahead and I did it. So I named every day of the week. Listen to this. Soulful Sunday, Monday Mood, Tuesday Talks, Wednesday Wins, Thankful Thursday, Freedom Friday, and Sensuous Saturday.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. Oh
So,
my God.
Yeah. So
You did the same thing. You've done the same thing that I was talking about. Oh my God.
Exactly. And then I invited my co-host on and like, what do you think of this? You know, we named the day, pick a day. And it's been beautiful because you know what? It sets me in motion. I wake up on Monday and I'm thinking about my mood and I come out and I talk to people about it.
And what is your Monday show? What's your theme of Monday?
Monday moods.
Wow. And what is Wednesdays?
Wednesday wins.
I love it. Wow. So you celebrate your wins on Wednesdays. I love that.
Exactly.
Oh my God. How much did putting that bit of schedule back into your life, do you feel that it's just really put you on the path to success?
100%.
Wow.
Because
that is so amazing.
I was having fun. I love my co-host. Like I've been so excited ever since we booked this talk for each other today.
Me too.
Yes. Get in here. We're going to do this. I've been on the phone talking to people, telling people, emailing people, you're going to get this episode. This is going to be great. You got to get ready for it. So, I mean, there's all these people out here going, yeah. And then at the very
I got to tell you something interesting. So I just started doing these interviews probably 45, 50 days ago, something like that.
Okay.
And I was talking to my friend, Eric Swanson. He has this Habitude Warrior conference. I'm like, Eric, I don't know if I have anything of value to say. I can talk about my books, but that's not, I mean, that's great. I love my books and everybody should buy them,
Yeah.
but that's pretty one-sided, one-dimensional. He said, Steve, think about the people you've interviewed and what were they like? And I started thinking about Dwayne, and I started thinking about Ben Affleck and Bryan Cranston. I love Bryan Cranston. He was a great interview. Jeremy Irons. I interviewed him for Beautiful Creatures. I was in Beverly Hills, the Beverly Hills Hilton. And he said, what are you doing afterwards, Steve? I said, I'm gonna go get a cigar at my club in Beverly Hills. He goes, if you wait for me, I'll come with you. I brought Jeremy Irons with me to my club. And so I started thinking about how they handle, and I started watching my interviews, and I said, well, wait a minute, they don't necessarily talk about the movie. They talk about other things. And I got them. So I really like this platform. I like being able to talk to you.
Thank you.
And by the way, when I finished, my adrenaline is just at its peak. I feel that we've served people greatly.
Yes.
I hope.
Yep.
And this is just fun, isn't it? I love it.
You know what? The energetic exchange, the things that come up, the way it emerges, the back and forth, it is really amazing because it's so much easier than being on a phone call, because
Oh
you
my
can
God.
see one another, engage, like, okay, I think they're going to pause. I can get in there. And then it evolves. So I want to say something about that big ball of COVID that you have behind you.
Yeah, it's over. Where is it? Look over there.
So, here's the thing that people need to know. Early on, I was writing about, with my science-based background, listen, it's a virus, and you know what it hates with all those things sticking out of it? I mean, it doesn't look creepy and scary, but what you have to remember is it doesn't like heat. So get out in the sun. But here's another thing. Drink hot water all day long, not ice water, not cold water, but hot water, and add a little lemon to it. And when you put it in your mouth, swish it around your mouth and, really back and forth, and then come down your throat. And what you're doing is, if you've been out and you've got any virus germs on you from spray or anything, then you're going to rinse them down into your throat, down into your esophagus, down into your gut. And guess what happens in your gut? Hydrochloric
It kills
acid.
everything.
Boom.
Yeah.
It just breaks it up, and you just excrete it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
And people have forgotten that when you go out and then you come back in, take off your clothes, put them in the shower. Put them in the washer. Go take a hot shower, get everything rinsed off you, rinse off your hair, because it likes to stick to your hair and your clothing.
Oh,
and
I don't have that problem, by the way.
Well, that's why I'm saying it, because you do. And people don't know these things. And like during the summer, I spent at least 3 or 4 hours a day outdoors to make sure I'm a sun bather anyway, but I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything to defeat the possibility that anything could stick to me.
You get that vitamin E from being outside, vitamin D.
Vitamin D, that's right.
Which is, by the way, we're all super deficient in vitamin D right now. I went and got my blood tested at my doctor, and he goes, Steve, your vitamin D is really, really low. I go, Jesus, because I never go outside. Where I used to go for walks every day, and I, so we need to do that. I'm taking supplements, but you're right. You're right about that. You got to get out there and get in the sun. Which, by the way, the government doesn't want us to do.
It's so wrong. So here's the thing. I don't listen very much to commands and demands and mandates. If I know that something doesn't make sense, it's cold up here. It's wintertime. There's snow on the ground. I put on my Ugg boots. I wear 4 or 5 layers of clothes, and I just get out there and.
By the way, Brian Smith, who invented Ugg boots, is in my first book.
I love him. Would you tell him that I said thank you?
I will, of course.
And you want to know what for? There is nothing in the world that is a more sensuous and delicious experience than taking your naked foot and putting it into a brand new Ugg boot, because the lamb's wool that's in there just, like sucks your foot in, surrounds every piece of cellular material that is your footy, and just hugs it. And it's so delightful. I love that design.
I love his story. I met him first at Secret Knock when I first, the idea for One Habit actually came from, I was at Greg Reed's Secret Knock. I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago.
What is Secret Knock?
Well, Secret Knock is this thing that Greg Reed does, and Forbes magazine has actually said it was a #1 seminar to attend in the world. Each year they've given him that award, and they've ranked all the other ones.
Really?
So what they do is they have about 350 people that pay a certain amount, and for a Friday, Saturday, and half of a Sunday, you attend this thing, and you're sitting at tables, okay? And we have these great speakers up there, and Greg interviews them. They do talks as well. And there's people like Brian Smith that started Ugg Boots, Rob Angel that invented Pictionary, Frank Schenkowitz who started the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Ron Klein who invented the magnetic strip on the back of your credit card, the guy that founded Chuck E. Cheese, and all these entrepreneurs and business people, and the guy that wrote Women are from Mars and Men are from someplace else, whatever that is.
Yeah,
and so
are from Venus and Men are from Mars.
Yeah. So, but the reason it's different is because when they're not on stage, they sit at the tables and hang out with you.
Oh, I love
So you get to really know them. And then they do this big book signing. So I was there with Greg and I was helping him. I was filming the event.
Yeah.
And they're doing a book signing where everybody that was at the event gets a book signed by every single one speaker at the event. It was really cool. And so I'm thinking to myself, why are these guys different than other people? Are they smarter than us? Are they luckier than us? They all had different stories, by the way.
Yeah.
There was no common denominator amongst them that I felt like that was so blaring that was the reason they're all successful. And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, maybe it's what they do. Maybe it's if I were to do and had the habits they had, and I worked like they did, and I woke up like they did, and I did these things, maybe it's just doing those things that made them successful. So I took the camera with me, and I had my camera person holding it, and I said, we're going to ask them all each one question. So I went up to Eric Swanson while he was signing and said, Eric, real quick, if you could instantly instill in a child one habit, what would it be and why? And we filmed his response. And we walked up to Frank Schenkowitz, who founded the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Frank, if you could instantly instill in a child one habit, what would it be and why? And so we filmed all these, and I just didn't know where they were going. And I sat back and I was editing and watching these. And two things amazed me. Number one, every single person immediately knew what their habit was. Really? Immediately. They literally immediately knew. And secondly, they were hugely passionate about that habit. And this was about three and a half, 4 years ago. And so I didn't know what to do with this. Now I got these, do I do a show? And so like 2 years ago, I finally said, okay, you know what? I think that I want to take this idea and turn it into a book. Never published anything before. Went back to all those people, plus another 70 other people, got 100 people to answer that singular question. And that became the first book, which was going to be the only book. It's called One Habit. There's no one habit it's just one habit. And as it started selling and became a bestseller on Amazon and all these various platforms, the people in the book say, Steve, I like this idea of one habit. Let's do one habit for women action takers. Let's do one habit to beat cancer. Let's do one habit for entrepreneurial success. Let's do one habit for working from home. Whereas each person will be asked, if you could instantly instill in a new business person who's working from home one habit, what would it be and why? If you could instantly instill in somebody that is trying to thrive through cancer one habit, what would it be and why? If you could instantly instill in a woman that is an action taker one habit to make her thrive in life, what would it be and why? And so that's what these books became. We went through 9, we've done 9 now, we've got another 20 in the works, and they keep growing and growing and growing. And hundreds of authors are in my books.
So
700 so far.
That I'm in, am I number 10?
Are you number 10? Yes, you'll be book number 10.
Because I've always wanted to be a 10, kind of like based on Bo Derek.
You're now a 10. There you go. I've anointed you a 10. And by the way, the books, because what's going to happen is all the authors are going to buy copies for themselves and to give away.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we do on launch day is you have a copy for yourself, right?
Right.
But the power is that you're going to buy 2 or 3 other copies and you're going to give them away.
Absolutely.
Books are the best gifts ever, by the way.
Absolutely.
People just love them, right?
Yeah.
And you're giving somebody the solution to poverty, to get rid of poverty. You're giving them the key to success, because in there will be one habit that will change your life forever. And so what we do is we say, here's this book. It's going to change your life. You take a picture of them smiling, holding the book, and say, do me a favor, will you push that and put that on your Facebook page? Absolutely. And here's a link I want you to put. So all the people you give books to, send people to the book on Amazon. They all buy them. And a lot of them will buy extra copies and give them away and post pictures. And it becomes this viral, beautiful thing.
You know what? And people get so excited to know an author that they're really excited.
Oh my God.
Book that you're in this book, you're the author, you're one of the authors. People get excited about that. So the whole thing is a massive lift. And I love that about what it is that you're doing.
Well, that's the thing. Being a best-selling author is a key to most doors.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's a shortcut for credibility. You could be the greatest psychologist, the greatest coach on the planet, but you got to get your foot in the door to serve people. So you can now say that, I'm Steve Samblis. I'm a multiple international #1 best-selling author. They tend to listen to you.
Yeah, they do.
That will open the door. And then, by the way, what do you do? And they've now asked you to tell them what you do.
Yeah, right.
So it's one of the best tools ever. We all make money on the books too, but the best thing that happens is there's a couple things. You become part of the community with all these other One Habit contributors who are amazing, and they lift each other up and they help each other. We give you a resource page at onehabit.com. And so all the traffic we're getting finds you, and not just buys books, but because all your links are on there. They're going to watch your videos. They're going to see how they can attend your virtual seminars or real seminars once it happens. Their coach becoming their coach, things of that nature.
Have you thought about bringing us all together and doing virtual seminars?
100%. I've thought of, well, there's a couple things going on. We created a VR app. And unfortunately, we created it in a program called Daydream, which is a Daydream headset, which is made by Google.
Okay.
And it's an app that goes on an Android phone.
Okay.
But last November, Google said, we don't think it's a viable platform. So they shut Daydream down. We spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars building this thing. So now what we're doing is we're taking the app and we're putting it onto Oculus.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have it so somebody there's two things you can do with it. Actually, number one, if you're a corporate trainer, you can create modules, and we'll go to corporations and we'll lease them all the headsets they need. And at any given time, 50 people will, on their own pace, watch each module training. Yeah. These won't be live events because we haven't really tapped into how to do a live stream into VR yet. And it's probably not that far off. But what we were going to do, we will put together a beautifully edited platform of a day where people will pay a fixed $49.95 or whatever it might be. Okay. And they'll be able to, at their own pace, they'll put on the headset and they'll be in this beautiful auditorium with you right in front of them. But you're not on a stage teaching them. You're actually on a chair sitting right in front of them and talking like this one-on-one, not on a stage far away, untouchable, and through a speaker. They feel like you are right in front of them.
You know what? I've dreamed this.
Well, we have it, and it's happening. It's going to be within the next 2 months. This app will be available on Oculus. The other thing we're doing too is we have a Fire TV app where you can go to. And what I want to do, actually, and we'll talk about this, I would love to take this interview we're doing right now and take this and put it on our Fire TV app so people can watch it on television.
Fabulous.
Yeah, because I want people to know who you are. And this will bring, they have 80 million, whatever it is, users of Fire TV. Yeah. And this will be just another platform for you to get your word out, to get your face out, get people to know who you are.
You know what? I had this vision. I mean, really, truly, I was like 18 years old. And I remember saying to my then husband, I've got this invention. We put these glasses on and they're plugged into a computer somehow and everything is 3D. And they're wired to your brain and to your whole physiology so that as you're going through the motions of different moods, you get to see everything the way it's happening in your whole body. So if you have hypertension, you can see exactly why. And if you have a headache, you can see exactly why, what's going on in there. And he looked at me and he said, how do you want to do that? And I said, it'll happen. It'll unfold.
I know. Yeah. You just know, you know the why, you don't know the how, but the why is the most important thing. You know why you want to do it.
What you're saying, so each one of us as authors will do a filming so that we can sit across from the person. I love that.
Yes.
And
yes.
You know what? Yes. And let me tell you something, even though this virtual space. I've been using Zoom actually for a number of years when it first came out, because I thought, well, this is great. And people get nervous about it, and I invite them on here and they get a little scared. And there's a couple of different groups that I run, and people, it's really funny. They've got the camera like on their phone down under by their chest, and I'll say, you know what? It's so good to see you. I love the interior of your nostrils.
Or the funny part is they get like from here up.
Right.
Love seeing the top of your head.
Yeah. So I play with people to get them to laugh about it, get comfortable, position your camera. And so when I have people on as my co-hosts, I mean, there have been some really funny episodes before we get live where people have been, like their head is about where my chest is, and they'll say, how come you're so tall? I'm not tall.
Forbes Riley does some programs on crushing on camera.
Oh.
Where it's amazing. So, and Forbes was the one that got all 150 people in our last book. The one that's the biggest book in entrepreneurial success ever published.
Oh, I wish.
And yeah, she needs to be on here. You need to interview her too. She's a great interview.
She's dark.
So it's interesting because that when she first started doing this crushing on camera, all the people would be on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And there's like one girl would be there, and behind her is her unmade bed.
I know. What is that?
Yeah, I know. And things like, and so she got everybody to get green screens or set a very nice framing of the environment behind them, one of the two.
Yep.
And now when you see all of them, like 60 people on Zoom, and you go through the two screens of Zoom, they look gorgeous. They all have ring lights. They have lights, they have the green screens behind them. And just her doing that is changed a lot of people, because the professionalism that you can create in this environment is just wonderful.
It is absolutely.
I have a room just dedicated to my office like you do, but my whole back wall is all green screen. And there's two lights up here, and there's a ring light in front of me. And I have a power strip over here that I reach down and I click it, and all the lights go on.
Yeah.
I love it. It's wonderful.
I have had so much fun in here creating with the monitor and the muffler and the rings, the ring lights and everything. And there have been times when what I've done is I've gotten really risky. And when it's dawn, I will take my my iPad and my phone, and I'll do a Blog Talk Radio outside on the lakefront.
Wow.
Or I'll take my phone and do a Facebook Live. These are very popular, if you know. I have ones that I'll wait till it's really cold and windy, and I'll go do an episode, and my hair is flying straight up,
That's hilarious.
It is hilarious, and it's intended to be. And people just have fun with it. If you can just remember that the camera loves you as long as you're comfortable with yourself and just let it happen, it's marvelous. Yeah. Can you believe we're almost out of time? We've got 2.5 minutes left.
I know. I just looked at this. It's like 1:57 my time right now. This was great, by the way. I'm so happy, Deb, that we are working together.
Me too.
Because we're creating something amazing, and I love your platform. I love what you're doing. I love the best thing I've heard is how you've named each day. The greatest idea ever. Oh my God, that is just genius. People need that. They really need that badly.
I got a big surprise for you. So why don't you stick with me here for a minute? We'll close it out. I'll keep you here.
Okay.
And then okay. So everybody, this has been your host, Dr. Deb Carlin, enthusiastically talking to this wonderful human being, Stephen Samblis. And I just scratched the surface of who he is and what he does. So we'll get him back here. All right.
I will return.
All right. Then this is going to be a return gig. So we're going to say peace out and thank you. And Stephen, you're darling. This has been marvelous.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been
90 seconds.
Okay, hang on.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.